the Israeli government is boasting, we have succeeded in regime change in Syria, which means that it was the Israeli Mossad at work. And so these jihadists, I choose my words carefully, which have taken over Syria, are Israel's puppy dogs. While Assad was there, at least Syria was resisting Israeli oppression. And now Syria is in a state of submission. And all that now remains is Iran and Yemen. When he declares himself to be the Mahdi, then our Prophet said that an army will come from Damascus to attack him. And when that army has crossed Medina and is on its way to Mecca, in between Medina and Mecca, the earthquake will occur. The earth will open and swallow that army. And so now we are able to anticipate that those who now have taken over power in Damascus will continue to control Damascus until that day. And it is that army of Israel's puppy dogs who will come to attack the Mahdi. We begin with Allah's blessed name. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Our topic today is one of more than passing importance. Regime change is just taking place in Syria, and the implications, the Islamic eschatological implications, are first of all, and most important of all, implications for Jerusalem. Of course, everybody understands that. It is all connected with Jerusalem. Islamic eschatology tells us that there are two cities which are pivotally important for the end of history. The first, of course, is Jerusalem. And I wrote Jerusalem in the Quran some 20-something years ago. Many of you may have already read that book. But the second city is Constantinople. And that's important because our Prophet, Allah's blessings be upon him, prophesied that a Muslim army will conquer Constantinople. When I met with the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov in Moscow last February, and I used the name Constantinople, he stopped me. He says, I am so happy that you're using the name Constantinople. A Muslim army will conquer Constantinople. And he praised the commander and he praised the army. But I don't think Erdogan in Turkey, the Sultan Erdogan in Turkey is too comfortable about this prophecy. And the prophecy about the conquest of Constantinople by a Muslim army, not a Russian army, not a Christian army, a Muslim army, because we don't want to provoke civil war in the house of religion. The prophecy is that the Muslim army will conquer Constantinople shortly after the Great War. Christian eschatology speaks about the Great War. Jewish eschatology, I believe, also speaks about the Great War. And they call it Armageddon. And our Prophet called it the Malhama. And it is a war to be fought over a mountain of gold. And BRICS is now taking us to that war. You must do the thinking now. That war has not as yet taken place, but our Prophet prophesied that 99 out of every 100, it's a figure of speech, who fight for that mountain of gold would be killed. So this cannot be a conventional war. This has to be a war using weapons of mass destruction, like nuclear weapons or something else beyond that. And that war has not as yet taken place, but it's around the corner. It's around the corner. And perhaps the imminent collapse of Ukraine might provoke that war. And when that war takes place, then he said that the next event to occur would be the conquest of Constantinople by a Muslim army. And I have offered an interpretation, an explanation. And when I offer my view, of course, you must know, don't ever accept my view unless and until you are convinced that I am correct, because this is my respect for your intellectual independence. That we will conquer Constantinople for a number of reasons. One of them is that it was manifestly shameful, disgraceful, and sinful that a Christian cathedral, which had functioned as a Christian cathedral, one of the foremost in the world, after Jerusalem for 1,000 years. Hagia Sophia should be converted to a masjid by the Ottoman Empire and then reconverted to a masjid by the Sultan Erdogan. I said it was shameful. I said it was disgraceful. I said it was manifestly sinful. Because in the Quran, listen carefully, the Lord God has given us an obligation to protect the synagogue, even if we have to fight to protect it. The church, the cathedral. Are you listening to me? Or the propaganda against Islam on behalf of the Jewish state of Israel? This is what the Quran says. Fight even if you have to fight. To protect the synagogue, to protect the church, to protect the cathedral, to protect the masjid. Surah Al-Hajj. And because they changed the cathedral and converted it to a masjid, to the eternal shame and disgrace of this community of Muslims. That's why a Muslim army will have to conquer Constantinople, and no one can stop it. Don't try. Not even Donald Trump. And when we conquer Constantinople, we will return Hagia Sophia to those to whom it rightfully belongs. And when we return Hagia Sophia, then the friendship and the alliance between those who follow the true Messiah, Jesus, the son of Mary, Maryam, and those who follow Prophet Muhammad, Allah's blessing be upon them both, that friendship and alliance would be sealed. And when that friendship and alliance is sealed, then those who still reject Jesus as the Messiah will then reach the end of their road. There's nothing left for them. And this prophecy of Prophet Muhammad والسلام, is now approaching fulfillment, because events are unfolding in Syria, a jigsaw puzzle which is tremendously intricate, difficult to understand. The pieces are coming together, and Jerusalem is at the center stage, and Constantinople is also connected with Jerusalem in the end time as the two most important cities in the end time. But when I was in Moscow in February, and we had the meeting with the Russian foreign minister, and he was only talking about politics and economics and monetary economics, and we were a small group, about 15, and I interrupted to ask, can we talk about the Quran and Russia? Everything became silent, because the Russians are very, very serious when it comes to religion, and they were not always comfortable and happy with Islam. Well, no, because the Ottoman Empire waged I don't know how many thousand wars against Russia. And after I had spoken to him for some time of what the Quran has to say about Russia, he then asked me, can you write on the subject? I then spent the next few months writing the Quran and Russia's destiny. And when writing that book, I realized that no, it was not two. It was three cities which will dominate the end of history. And Moscow is the third, not Washington. And the pieces are coming together now. The Arab Spring led to the destruction of Libya. Libya was a regime which was resisting Israeli oppression. This is not a seminar organized to lash out at Jews, not at all. There are Jews in the world who have the common sense and who have the internal integrity to recognize that there is oppression in Israel. And it was wonderful to see them protesting on American university campuses, to the embarrassment of the Zionist movement. American students protesting against violence and oppression against the Palestinians. So there are Jews who oppress, who oppose oppression in Israel, and they are our brothers when they oppose oppression. And then the oppression of the state of Israel reaches a crescendo, reaches a point from which there is no return now. It's not possible to retrace your steps anymore. And now we see regime change in Syria. earlier, taking us one significant step forward towards an end that Islamic eschatology has already explained and is connected with the Messiah. It will take hours to explain an Islamic eschatological explanation of the messianic interpretation of history. But to cut the long story short, Allah promised to the Bani Israel, to the Israelite people, He promised them that He would send them one who would be their prophet, not ours, theirs. And He would be the Messiah. And He would bring back the golden age when the Israelite people ruled the world from holy Israel in Jerusalem with the prophets David, Nabi Dawood alayhi salam, and Solomon, Nabi Sulaiman alayhi salam. That Israel was a ruling state. And our prophet prophesied when the Messiah came and some of them accepted Him and the others rejected Him because they said, "Wana'uzu billah minha." He's a bastard. His mother was not married. Allah tested them and they failed the test because they could see with only external sight and they're internally blind. All those who worship gold, and when gold becomes a golden calf, are becoming internally blind. All those who worship gold, and when gold is transformed into a golden calf, they are internally blind. That's the price you pay for worshiping gold.